let's talk about dataset rollup trees. They're an advanced feature of Spider Impact that you might not use at first, but if you're using Impact to aggregate data in a hierarchy way, or if you're using it to roll out permissions to hundreds or even thousands of users, they are completely invaluable. I'm going to walk you through starting at the very beginning so it's going to be easy to understand. So here is a spreadsheet I've got. They're physical fitness tests. I'm going to be using the U.S. Army as an example. This is just fake data. But the U.S. Army is a very hierarchical organization, and they're great for demoing purposes. So here's a spreadsheet I've got. And I've got the date the physical fitness test was taken, the UIC, that's unit identification code. The U.S. Army has like 40,000 unit identification codes because it's a big tree structure. What was their score total? Score on push-ups, sit-ups, run, what's their age, what's their sex, all that kind of stuff, right? Did they pass where's that one? Yeah, did they pass the physical fitness test or not? So all this kind of physical fitness testing data. And again, this is all fake. So let's go into Spider Impact. We're going to create a data set called fitness tests. And we're going to upload that. Looking good. No transformations. All right, so we're going to use the record ID for the primary key, and everything else is going to automatically detect, dates and stuff. But look at this. The UIC is coming in as a text field, so just keep that in mind. And our data set is built. That took a couple of minutes because there's 300,000 records in there. But we can start slicing and dicing this data set, right? So we can say, all right, let's look at sex here. 83% of the tests were men, 16% were women, that kind of stuff. We can say, did they pass or not? The total is 80%. If you just filter on men, let's say, you can say, oh, look at this, 81% of the men passed, 18 failed. All right, so that's just general idea with data sets, right? Let's look at another field called UIC. And you can see this W4K9AA unit identification code had the most number of tests with 38,000 or 3,800 tests, followed by this one with 2,200, followed by this one with 1,800, etc. Right? So I guess that's helpful, but this is a big hierarchy, and it's just saying of all the little nodes on the different tree, this particular node had the most. So you can say, all right, let's just look at this one. You can filter the data down. All right, well, this is how many men and women were in that particular unit. This is how many passed and failed. So it is kind of interesting to slice and dice. But what you really want to do is you want to take all this data and put it in a tree structure. And that's where dataset rollup trees come in. So we're going to go to the admin section, and we're going to go to dataset rollup trees. And here we have a U.S. Army chain of command rollup tree. You can have multiple rollup trees. And if you're a normal organization, this is going to be an org structure, but you could have, a massive, it could be regional, right? You could have this broken down by countries and then, states or provinces within this country. Any kind of hierarchical data works great with this. So here's Department of the Army at the top, headquarters, U.S. Army commands under there. There's Futures Command, whatever underneath there. There's Air Missile Defense, all these kind of hierarchical structures, right? Again, there's 40,000 of these tree items. And so the idea here is you build up this tree. You can import the data from JSON or CSV. You can manually build these things by, creating new tree structures. There's a bunch of different ways to build these trees. But once you've got them in the software, and also here's the different key set, right? So U.S. Army commands is WAR CSF. This one is that. Each one of these things in the tree has a one or more unit identification codes. As you can see here, this one has a lot of different unit identification codes. This one has 2 different codes that map to this different rollup tree, right? So that's how you map the data to it. And once you've built up your rollup tree, you can use it in data sets anywhere. So for example, if you wanted to have a rollup tree based on your company's org structure, it might be by your employee ID or whatever, right? All right, so we've got this dataset rollup tree that takes information by the UIC unit identification code and rolls up all the data up the tree and identifies a tree item. All right, let's go back to datasets. Let's edit this dataset, and let's go over here to UIC, and we're going to edit the UIC field. And it is no longer text. It is now a roll-up tree. Which tree do we want? We want that chain of command production. There's only one we've got right now. And I'm going to click Done. And it's going to rebuild the data set with UIC trees. All right, that one took a little bit longer. It was about 5 or 6 minutes to build, and it's because it had to do a lot of dataset roll-up math. So we can still explore data just like before. So there's the pass thing. We can see, 81% passed, 19% failed. But now when we add the UIC, you can see here that there's a roll-up tree icon next to it, and it automatically aggregates the data by your roll-up tree. So we can see here U.S. Army commands make up about 72% of the tests, and we'll click on that. And we can see, Reserve Force Com with 36 and 30%. We'll click on Forces Command. 18th Airborne, and as we're drilling down, we see there's 32,000 records there, and the pass-fail ratio is changing. And so you can use this hierarchical data to do reports, to do dashboards, drill up and down your organization, and all your information is immediately aggregated up this roll-up tree, which is incredibly powerful. You can see, how little effort it took right here. So dataset roll-up trees are amazing for aggregating your hierarchical data. But they also are really good for assigning permissions when you have a whole bunch of users to manage in your organization. I'll show you what that means right now. So here we are in the admin section. Let's go to Dataset Rollup Trees. There's a tab here called Rollup Tree Groups. And what these are 3 groups that I've created to define roles at every level of the organization. There are IT administrators, managers, and standard employees. Again, I created these and named these myself. And the members of these rollup tree groups are different at every level of the tree. So here we are. We're going to go down to Futures Command. We've got at Futures Command, there's an IT administrator named James, there's a manager named Rebecca, and there's 3 standard employees, Marcia, Max, and Robert, okay? And those are the members of those particular roles at the different levels of the organization. But, if we go to here to Air and Missile Defense, we don't have anybody assigned, but we could really quickly assign someone if we wanted to. So that's the general idea, is you define the roles that you've got as these roll-up tree groups, and you assign users and groups as members so you can define where the people are in your organization. Now, it doesn't give them permission to do anything yet. It just defines who belongs where in your organization. Okay, we can take this information now to very quickly roll out permissions to hundreds or thousands of users all at once. So let's go to the dataset section. We're back at our fitness test. We're going to edit this thing. And we have advanced permissions turned on. By default, advanced permissions is turned off for a data set. And anybody who can view your organization can view all the records in your data set. We're going to turn on advanced permissions. I'm going to delete these right now for this demo. And we can very quickly add permissions to different things. So I can click here. I can say, okay, Marcia Mello has permission to view, records where they've passed their test, or Matt has the ability to view records that, someone took their test in the last 3 months or whatever, right? But we see up here that we have roll-up tree groups, and you can really quickly assign permissions to every single member of that roll-up tree group. So I'm going to click on IT administrators, and just like that, with one click, I've given the ability for IT administrators, every single member, potentially hundreds or thousands of users, to see records at their UIC level or below. And I'm going to also give them the ability to modify those records, because these are the administrators. I'm going to give them a whole bunch of permissions. Same kind of thing here. I'm going to add the standard employees, and I'm going to give them access to their level of the roll-up tree. And I'm not going to allow them to edit the records or view the records tab or anything like that. Just all they can do is explore their data in the datasets tab, because those are the standard employees. So I'm going to hit save. And I've immediately applied those permissions across the entire organization. It makes it really, really easy to manage all these permissions. And I can go into every different data set. If I got 10 different data sets, one for HR records, one for customer sales, or whatever, right? I can assign permissions to these roll-up trees, and then I have one place in the software to manage memberships for all these permissions. All right, so let's go back in to users. This is Jane Johnson. She's not a member of any roll-up tree. And so let's log in as her just to see what she sees when she logs into the software. All right, she's going to go to the dataset section. in the all Army organization, she doesn't see any data sets, right? Because we turned on advanced permissions for that physical fitness test. All right, so we're going to log out of Jane Johnson. Here's that physical fitness test thing that she couldn't see. And we're going to go to the admin section, and we're going to go to Dataset Rollup trees. And we're going to add her. Let's say she has access to Southern Europe Task Force, whatever that is. And so she's going to be a standard employee there. And Jane Johnson, that's who it was. All right, so she is now a member. We just hired Jane. Welcome aboard, Jane. You are now a standard user at the headquarters U.S. Army Southern Europe Task Force. And we're going to hit save. So now, when we log in as Jane, this is what she's going to see. She can see the fitness tests, and her permissions are applied there. She can only see 25 records because those are what she's restricted to do. She can't click on the she can't click the edit tab. She can't click records because she's a standard user. But she can explore her data. She can see the dates of the physical fitness test. Looks like all the tests were taken over 2 months. She can see the average age of that's the total age. Not helpful. Average age. The average age of the people taking the test is 39.1, etc. Right? So just super quickly, we're able to manage permissions for these dataset rollup trees. Okay, so that is the second thing. First thing is dataset rollup trees are magic because they can aggregate your data. Second piece is you can really, really quickly assign permissions to hundreds or thousands of users for advanced permissions dataset. Now the next part gets pretty crazy, but you can create templated organizations based on dataset rollup tree values and then automatically assign permissions to those things. Don't get intimidated. I'll walk you through every step of the way. Okay, we're here in physical fitness tests. Let's do pass. Let's do sex. We're going to, this is better. This is better. Okay, so we're going to say this is for women. We're going to say what percentage of women passed. Create a dataset KPI. And we're going to make this the date and put it under PT tests. And then we're going to go to filter on men. Create dataset KPI. And so we're going to go over here to the scorecard section, check out our new KPIs, percentage women passing, and we're going to quickly apply some goal red flag. All right, just like that, we've got some data. Let's switch to weekly. Amazing. So we've got percentage women passing, percentage men passing. We can see our performance over time. Looking good. We've got some KPIs. Okay, and this is the all Army because again, when we look at the actual data, we can see the sex is male and the pass is yes, what percentage overall. So now we're going to create some templates. Now this is covered in another video about creating organization templates, but I'm going to overlap with a little bit of functionality there. So we're going to go to the all Army. We're going to edit this thing, and we're going to go to copy as a template. We're going to choose copy for every value of a dataset field. We're not going to copy any of this stuff here. Choose the dataset. This is going to be our fitness test dataset. And what field do we want? We want to create a record for every unique value of the UIC field. Now, two things have happened there. Do you notice when I switched, I actually could say, all right, I'm going to create a version of this based on sex. So there would be an organization for women and an organization for men, right? But here, we're choosing UIC, and there's an organization permission box. We're going to get to that in a second, but let's apply some filters because right, we don't want to create 40,000 organizations, one for every UIC. So instead, we're going to say apply a filter on the UIC, and we're going to say U.S. Army commands, not all descendants. It's children and grandchildren. So it's U.S. Army commands, the children, and the grandchildren. Okay. Click done. That's going to reduce the number of organizations we create. And now we can assign organization permission. So we're going to be creating an organization. There's going to be like 100, 150, somewhere around there, organizations all copies of that scorecard I just created, and we're going to automatically assign permissions to people. Oh, look, it's our same roll-up tree groups as before. So we're going to say, the IT administrators, what can they do? Well, we're going to make them power users, and we can edit their actions of what they can do in these organizations that we're creating. By default, you've got a whole bunch of things. All right, let's just go with that, but we can, fine tune that if we want. So the IT administrators are going to be power users, and they get to see their assigned tree item and descendants, or just their assigned tree items. No, they get their descendants too. And then we're going to add the standard employees, and they get view-only access. And what actions can they do? Yeah, they can change their personal profile. Great. And then to their items. So again, with just a couple clicks here, assuming we've got a few hundred users or 1,000 users in that Dataset Rollup tree groups, we can create all of these organizations and immediately assign people permissions to see their correct organizations. It's super powerful, and they're really simple to manage. Okay, so let's click next. This is going to create 131 organizations copies. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Let's see what happens. Oh, we got to do prefixes and suffixes. We don't care about that. Oh, all of a sudden, U.S. Army commands are showing up. Organizations are showing up now. And here's the 131 organizations. So if I click on ATEC, for example, it's going to be the percentage of women passing in ATEC and descendants. So these scorecards are automatically updating. If I had dashboards, if I had reports, it would all be updating for just their level in the tree, right? So I'm creating scorecards. These could be personal scorecards. It could be, different scorecard for every different level of your org tree. Just like that, we've created scorecards, we've created dashboards, they're templated reports that have unique data for that organization, as well as it has unique data, unique permissions for that organization. So let's test this out. So we'll select all Army. Also the data is still calculating. It's going to take 15, 20 minutes for all the data to calculate for hundreds of scorecards. Let's go to admin section. Go to users. Let's log in as Jane. Okay. This is what Jane sees. She wants to go to a scorecard, go to All Army. She's got, it's locked. She can't do anything there. U.S. Army Command's locked. There she is. She's got the U.S. Army Southern Europe Task Force and one level of children, because we decided to do, children and grandchildren. We could have done more, but we want to just do 131 organizations. Great. Let's see her scorecard. It's just showing the percentage of men passing, percentage of women passing. Again, the data hasn't been recalculated yet. It's going to take a few minutes. But we've created 131 scorecards with data that's going to be updated live whenever we update our data set, and automatically assign permissions to potentially hundreds or thousands of users all at once.